Welcome back to Rapids Reloaded. The Gun Control Act of 1968 was signed into law on October 22nd, 1968 by President Lyndon B. Johnson. The law was a response to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy in 1963 and the growing concern over gun violence in the United States. The GCA was the first major federal gun control legislation since the National Firearms Act of 1934, which imposed a tax on the manufacture and sale of certain firearms, including machine guns as well as suppressors. The NFA required registration, but it did not outlaw any of the items it regulated. The GCA expanded on the NFA and the Federal Firearms Act of 1938 by further regulating the firearms industry and firearms owners. The law required all firearms dealers to be licensed by the federal government and established a list of prohibited persons who are not allowed to own firearms, including convicted felons, drug addicts, and those who had been involuntarily committed to a mental institution. The GCA also imposed restrictions on the sale and transfer of firearms. It required all firearm sales conducted at a licensed dealer to have a background check performed for all gun purchases. The private sales and transfers of firearms are still legal unless your state further restricts them. The law also banned the importation of firearms that did not meet certain criteria, such as having a sporting purpose. The GCA was controversial at the time of its passage, with many gun rights advocates arguing that it violated the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution, which guarantees the right to keep and bear arms. However, the law was upheld by the United States Supreme Court in the 1980 case of Lewis versus the United States, which ruled that the GCA did not violate the Second Amendment. Since its passage, the GCA has been amended several times, including the 1986 Firearms Owners Protection Act, which relaxed some of the restrictions on firearms ownership and sales, and the 1994 assault weapons ban, which banned the manufacture and sale of certain types of firearms for a period of 10 years. The Gun Control Act of 1968 had a significant impact on the firearms industry and the gun control debate in the United States. Supporters of the law have claimed it helped to reduce gun violence by keeping firearms out of the hands of dangerous individuals such as convicted felons and those with a history of mental illness. The GCA also had a significant impact on the firearms industry. The law required all firearms dealers to be licensed by the federal government, and it imposed strict regulations on the sale and transfer of firearms. These regulations are supposed to ensure that firearms are sold only to law-abiding citizens and that they are used responsibly. However, the GCA also has been criticized by gun rights advocates who argue that it violates the Second Amendment and that it imposes unnecessary restrictions on firearms, ownership and sales, and it infringes on the rights of law-abiding citizens to own and use firearms for self-defense and other lawful purposes. Despite these criticisms, the GCA remains a major federal law regulating the firearms industry and firearms ownership in the United States. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more firearms content. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.